Hi, everyone, and welcome back to episode number 17 of the Atlas Annuity Podcast. I'm your host, Marty Becker, owner of Atlas Financial Strategies in St. Louis, Missouri. In the next several episodes, I'm going to be going through some of the biggest mistakes that people make in their retirements. There's 7 big ones that I've identified, and we'll go through them one by one over the next several weeks. Let's jump right into this. Now, if you believe in an intelligent designer, as I do, then you know that everything has been created for a purpose, regardless of who created it. It doesn't matter if it's the ozone layer or a waffle maker. It was designed to serve a purpose. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making in their retirement planning is not assigning a purpose to their money. Normally, they just have a pile of money sitting in a portfolio with no real direction. And they expect that unmoored money to provide income, to provide growth, to provide a legacy to children and grandchildren, and to provide liquidity for the rest of their lives. Now, I use the term unmoored money because using your retirement funds in that fashion is no different than a ship floating around at the mercy of the tide and the weather. So that ship either needs to be moving in a specified direction to a purposeful destination, or it needs to be anchored. Anything besides those two scenarios can be devastating. So here are some vital questions that you need to ask yourself to help define the purpose of your money. Question number 1, how much income do I need and or want? Now, there's a difference between need and want. And when designing a strategy, the first thing we want is to make sure that you're going to have enough money just to cover your expenses. And normally, the best way to do this is with an income annuity. Now, you're going to get way more income out of every dollar that you allocate to an annuity that you really could with any other investment, not to mention it's going to be guaranteed for your entire life. And that's not Marty's opinion. That's the consensus between all the economists who study retirement. And if you haven't had a chance to see the documentary, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, you need to see it. It's an awesome documentary that goes into a lot of the risk that we'll be discussing right here on this podcast over the next couple weeks. Okay, question number 2. How much money can I risk for long-term growth? Now, most people don't think about this because they just assume their portfolio is going to continue to grow as they age in retirement. But what they don't realize is that they will be spending principal at some point. The question really becomes, when will they start cannibalizing their principal and how fast will they cannibalize it? That part is unknown. And all of this gets into safe withdrawal rates, which I'll address in a later episode. But historically, the best place for long-term growth is going to be stocks. And you really don't know how much you can risk in stocks until you have your expenses taken care of with some sort of guaranteed income source. Now, that could be Social Security, it could be a pension, it could be rental real estate. You can't really guarantee that every single month. But anything else is just guessing, no matter what your advisor tells you. Question number 3, how much money would I like to leave as a legacy? Now, there are a lot of people who want to leave money for their kids, and I like the idea of that, but you shouldn't do it at the detriment of your retirement lifestyle. You've paid your dues by already raising your kids. Let them make their own money. But if you really do want to leave a specified amount of money to your kids or to a charity, then the best way to do that is with life insurance, because you can buy tax-free death benefit for pennies on the dollar. And if you cannot qualify for life insurance, then there are annuities that will grow the guaranteed death benefit at a guaranteed rate every year. Question number 4, how much do I want in an emergency fund? A good idea for an emergency fund would be to have at least $25,000 to $50,000, and the best place to keep this is just good old safe cash at a bank or in a money market that could get you a little more interest than a traditional savings account. Question number 5 for defining purpose of money. How much would I like to give to charity? Now, I think giving is an important part of life. And when it comes to giving to charities out of your retirement money, there are smart ways to do it. So, for instance, if you have a lot of qualified money in your IRA and you're going to get hit with RMDs in the future, then maybe looking at something like a charitable remainder trust or qualified charitable distributions is a good idea. Now, things like that go beyond the scope of my practice, but a good CPA or an estate planning attorney should be able to help you with that. Question number 6, how will I pay for long-term care? Now, this is a big one. This is one of those areas that can literally devastate you financially if you're not prepared for it. And no one wants to talk about it, and no one thinks it will happen to them. But the last research that I read stated that 70% of Americans will need some type of long-term care. Think about that. 7 out of every 10 people. And that could be anywhere from having someone come into your home a couple days a week to help you clean and cook, all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum of needing full-time skilled nursing. So if you haven't given much thought to long-term care, you need to. And I have an entire section on my website dedicated to it. So if you go to atlasannuity.com and click the long-term care tab, you'll find 13 short videos discussing all of the different aspects of long-term care. And I'll leave a link in the show notes as well for you. Okay, question number 7. How much inflation do I want to plan for? At the time of this recording, which is early 2024, inflation is a hot topic because it's been out of control for the past couple years. Now, the vast majority of people they're feeling it. I know I am. I have 2 young kids and my grocery bills are insane. However, historically, inflation has averaged about 2%. So it definitely can become manageable over time, but it'll be more of a dynamic process as time goes on. But if you have a guaranteed income floor and you have money set aside for long-term growth, you should be okay. The best solution to inflation is more money. The trick bag that people get caught in is when they try to plan for something like a 3% increase in their income every single year. Very few people actually have the funds to do that, because a 3% compounding rate on your total income can be a staggering amount of money over a 30-year period. But if you have a purpose to your money, it's something that can be planned for. Okay, everyone, so there you go. 7 questions to help you get started down the path of really thinking about your retirement income. Now, not everyone will have enough money to accomplish all of these things, but these questions are designed to help you assign a purpose to every dollar that you have in order of importance. And the better we can define a purpose for your retirement money, the better we can choose the financial vehicles that were specifically designed to accomplish that specific purpose. So everyone, I know this was a quick episode, but I hope it gave you something productive to think about. And I want to thank you for listening. I really do. I appreciate everybody out there who listens every week. If you haven't watched my 20% more spendable income series, I want to encourage you to go over to my website at atlasannuity.com and just navigate to the video section, or find the link that I'll leave for you in the show notes. And please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have questions. And you can do that also by going to atlasannuity.com and just clicking on the contact page. Again, this is Marty Becker wishing you all the best in your financial education, and I'll see you in the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Atlas Annuity Podcast. All information presented is for educational purposes only and is not a recommendation to implement any tax strategy, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or transfer any security or insurance products. Atlas Financial Strategies Incorporated is an insurance-only licensed entity, and any decisions to buy or sell securities should be discussed with a licensed securities advisor, and any tax strategies should be discussed with a licensed tax professional. professional. Past performance of any strategies or products mentioned are not a guarantee of future returns. For any other questions or concerns, please go to www.atlasannuity.com.